Masechet Shevuot Daf Ted Vav Amud Aleph, 12 lines down. The Mishnah said, "B'shtei todot," you had two todah offerings when we're walking around to make the new edition of Yerushalayim or the Azara. The Gemara says, "Tana, b'shtei todot shamru." When we said two korban todot, bilachman lo b'saran. The first, the bread that gets carried around, like we said, there's a lot of bread that's there, and that's what's getting carried around, not the meat. Minami no, Amaras v'chista. Damar krapa. So it says, "V'amida shtei todot g'tlot v'talachot yamin me'al ha'chuma." So my Gidol, why does it mean a large Torah? So either may mean Gidol Mashiach Tamar, a large animal. You could just say bulls. That's a large species. And maybe you want to say the big piece, the big animal itself. Does God does care what type of animal you bring? But Tanya verse says, regarding an olah, it calls it Nereach Nichoach. Be'al ha'os, regarding a bird, Ishat Nichoach. B'mencha, which is flour, Ishat Nichoach. Doesn't make a difference what a person does in size or number. God accepts all. That's why we do daf. We're not doing ayun, but we're doing what we can every single day. The daf. So obviously, large cannot be meaning to the size of the animal. The is referring to the large part of the tudah offering. Mainu, what's that? Hametz, the hametz part, because it's hametz bread and matzah that's brought with the tudah. So what's large? We're bringing the large pieces of bread, the hametz bread. The Tanna Mishnah says, the Tudah offering was made of 5 Yerushalayim portions of flour. She'en shesh midbariyot, which is 6 regular sas. She'en shtei ofot, which is also equal to 2 efas. Va'efas shlosh se'in and efas 3 se'in. Esim isaron, or 20 isarons. And asara the chametz va'asara tinsal. 10 isarod were used for the chametz, and 10 for the matzah breads. Matzah, and the matzah was split up. Shlosha meaning 3 different types. Halot, rekikin, urvucha, 3 types of matzot. One way was halot is where the matzah with olive oil added to the dough before they were baked. The revuchot was made the rekikin were made without oil, but they were touched. Oil was splashed on after they're baked, and the revuchot were made by baking them when they were mixed with oil, but then boiling them beforehand and then fried. Interesting. Sounds good. The additions of the Azra is not made except with the leftovers of the Korban Mincha. My time I like Yerushalayim, it's like Yerushalayim. My Yerushalayim, Davar Nechal Babang Tesha. Just like Yerushalayim, something that's eaten inside makes it Hek Kadosh. Af Azra, so to the courtyard. Davar Nechal Ba Mekadesha, so to the thing inside of it makes it Kadosh. The Gemara says, Atu Lachmet Tab Azra below it. Wait a second. The logo to that also are eating the Azara. So they also can use the Azara, the Gemara says, like Yerushalayim, that's be treated like Yerushalayim. My Yerushalayim, the Bar Nechal Ba V'Yosem says like Yerushalayim is Makdish, something inside, but something outside of it gets it disqualified. Af Azara, the Bar Nechal Ba V'Yosem in something else that eaten inside the Azara, and if it leaves, it's Basul, which would be like the Mincha. Whereas Imalan Hametz, Af Kan Hametz, that's the case, maybe you should use Hametz by the case of the loaves. The Gemara says, this is what I don't know. Minchat Hametz Meika, the interesting is a Hametz Korban Mincha, it's literally just flour. Maybe they would let the mincha become chametz and rise. That also can be. Not even the kohanim that eat it can't use the flour to make a chametz. They can't let the flour become chametz. So no part of the korban mincha can become chametz, and therefore what are we exactly using, according to this opinion, to make the hekdesh, the azra added? The Gemara says, "Why not?" Maybe you will use the 2 loaves of Shavuot. Maybe we are approaching Shavuot, and I'm mentioning it. The special 2 loaves we use in Shavuot. Maybe we use those 2 loaves and use that korban of the Shavuot, the 2 loaves, to the Shtei Halechem to add the Azara, where it says, no, 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 no. We don't like that. Mishum love it's impossible, practically. Hey, how would you do it? If you build the additional, the expansion of the Azara before Shavuot, and then you sanctify it with the loaves before Shavuot, not good. The loaves become kadosh when you slaughter it on Shavuot with the animals. Okay, fine. Maybe you might build the expansion before Shavuot and sanctify it on Shavuot with the bread. Where it says no, the Einan Kiddush B'Shat Binyamin need the sanctification to make it kadosh with the time of the building. Martin's like, fine. Even maybe Yom Tov, maybe you do both on Yom Tov, build it and sanctify it. And Binyan Mikdash, the construction of the Bet HaMikdash did not override Yom Tov. Which is how powerful Yom Tov is. That doesn't work either. Okay, fine. Nish Beked Matarach. Maybe you might think they would leave one of the two loaves after Shavuot to keep it. Then build it after Shavuot and then sanctify it after Shavuot with one of the two loaves. Also NG. If Sadal Lebanina would become pasul because you left it overnight. Okay, fine. Let's try a new one. We should build it before Yom Tov. Leave over a tiny bit of construction over. So once it gets dark at the end of Yom Tov, you can immediately finish the construction and then make it with the loaves. And binyan bet hamikdash that also doesn't work because you can't build bet hamikdash at nighttime. Rabbi says binyan how you know that? Rabbi says uviyom hakim the mishkan. But you only build the mishkan during the day, but then you can't do it, and therefore we see that you can't use the expansion of the courtyard with these breads. Okay. Next part of the Mishnah says Ubashir we sing when we expand it. Rabbanan. Shir should sing of we think Hashem. We should not sing these type of instruments. I'll call pina pina every corner as you're expanding it. I'll call every great stone. The Omer in your space, special Tilim, Adon Imcha Hashem Ki Dilatani, Bishir Shapigaim, and this the song that talks about harmful spirits, which is Yeshib B'Tadayom, we see that Motzei Shabbat. Yeshim Shir Shnei also the song of plagues. So man damar negaim according to Jose say plagues. The Pasuk says, "Benega lo yikra va'olecha." It's called that because Yeshua B'Tadayom talks about the plagues of the tents that we don't want it. Man damar make a pigaim. The one of the holds that it's called a harmful spirit. Pismon. Tektiv yipol misidecha elef. That's why they call Yeshua B'Tadayom two different names. The Omer Pasuk says Yeshua B'Tadayom B'Tadayom Lan. Ad ki atam Hashem asi Elyon samta b'anecha. These few pesukim they talk about the Bet HaMikdash. The Chazimah is the next part of the thing that says Mizmor David b'Racham b'nei Avishlam b'nei Hashem b'no Hashem Arabu Ma'asarai. Etc. Talks about how Hashem's going to bring that Bet HaMikdash. Ad la Hashem Yeshua ala mecha b'chatat hara. Right, you talk about the Tzilim that discusses the Bet HaMikdash. Rabbi Shimon Levi Amar Lehu lahani krei b'nei Higvani. Rabbi Shimon Levi, we would talk about he would read this Yosef B'Tadayom before going to sleep to protect him. Mar says, how do you do that? Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, Asur lehitrapaot b'divrei Torah. You can't heal yourself with Torah. Right? We had that in Masechet Makot. You can't use Pesukim to heal yourself. So how do you do that? No, lahagen jani. To protect yourself is different. You don't have an active wound. He's just trying to protect himself. And also, when we said earlier, he said it's forbidden to heal yourself with pesukim. We say that's only when you have a wound. Only this wound. It's not sounds like, it's asur too. But we know Masechet Sanhedrin, if someone were to use pesukim, right? The famous case in Masechet Sanhedrin is the guy would have a wound and whispers the pasuk over it. Or something lo asim alecha. Right, you're trying to heal the incantation on your wounds. It says that not just asur. It says over there you have no chelik l'maba. We say it's different. In that case, from a case where you're spitting over the wound, then you say that pasuk. Because you should not mention Hashem's name while spitting. Okay. The betin marches and the loaves of the breads of the Todah is behind it. The Gemara says does that mean Betin was walking in front of the Todah bread? Vakti Pasuk says, the Hoshaya walked in front with the bread in front of him, and the Sanhedrin walked behind him. When Betin's marching, the Kohanim will carry the Todah march, and the Betin marches before them, after them rather. We agree that Betin can't march in front of it. How do you position the two breads? One say they carried next to each other, side by side, one coin each. One behind the other. Holds it one after another. The inner loaf is the one closer to the wall. Right? And that's the one that is eaten. 1 second, we'll explain in a second. And according to the one after another, the inner one is close, is the second one closer to Beitin. The Gemara says, Tom Mishnah says, the inner loaf is eaten and the outer one is burnt. It makes sense according to one after the other. The reason why the inner one's eaten is because because the outer one, the first one in front of it, already made the thing hekdesh, and therefore we can't eat that one. According to the whole they carry next to each other. They both made the item hekdesh. They both added the new expansion of the Azra. So how can you eat any of them? Why the inner one over the outer one? The Gemara says, but to make according to reasoning, the Damar do a hazud even according to one after another. Hadda mimikacha. One loaf by itself doesn't make it hekdesh. You say, oh, the first one already made the land in front of it hekdesh, therefore you can't eat it. But that's not true. The Mishnah says that you need everything, including both loaves. So both loaves make it kadosh. Doesn't make a difference to the positioning. Whereas I feel even according to the thing that later on that we'll see that you only need one of these things in order to add it. That only applies to other things in the list of the Kohen and Navi, where you only need one. But they would agree that the two loaves are equal as essential. It's like half an item. Each loaf is half equal in both, and therefore you can't tell me that one made the other thing hekdesh. Therefore, Yochanan says, why is the inner one eaten? We learn from Yisrael Azaya. Rather, when they put the second batash, we learn from the Navi'im that that's the one that's eaten, and we don't have exact logical reason.